Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program The Journey Begins Part 28, the penultimate episode, and you join us where we left off last time with our infrared telescope in orbit around Kerbal and expecting a Kerbin encounter any day now. I decide not to go up and collect the science we've accrued on it so far. I just let it swing around Kerbin on and head on out into a new orbit around Kerbal. We adjust it slightly so that it's within easy reach of Kerbin should we ever want to actually go up and collect that science. But for now, we'll leave it doing its thing and hunting more asteroids. Meanwhile, aboard the Aristotle station, our science lab has gotten very close to its 500 science limit, so we decide to transmit what we've got back down to Kerbin, where we're accumulating quite a hefty bunch of science by now. More on that a little later, but we've now got more pressing matters to attend to. Or to be more precise, one more pressing matter, and that is our Duna vehicle, the Ptolemy, on its way back from Duna. Now, we've got to perform a course correction. Nothing major, we just fire up the RCS thrusters and make sure our approach is, first of all, on the right plane, and then we need to bring the periapsis down to a sensible, well, 500,000 metres is what I had planned, and we get it pretty near that. And then we just wait for gravity to take over and draw us ever closer to Kerbin, getting really close, so close our Kerbals can almost smell it, and that can only mean it's time to perform our final burn with the Ptolemy for this series, our orbital insertion burn. Just a 4-minute burn this time. Yeah, they've gotten a lot shorter since we shed most of our mass, which was, of course, fuel. But before too long, we are there. We have put ourselves into a parking orbit. We now need to make our way to the Aristotle space station. But we're pretty much running on fumes here, so in order to do that, we're going to need some more fuel. And if it's fuel our Kerbals need, then fuel they shall have, and to that end we are blasting off from the KSC here at 4 times time acceleration, and for one final time this series with our Brunel Mark I launcher. And what a workhorse of a vehicle this has been. It's launched God knows how much of our junk into Kerbin orbit, and yeah, I think we've only ever tested it up to a payload of 18 tons, and that was with the initial test flight. But I think it probably could have managed more. We've got a little less than that today. It's a variety of fuels just to ensure our Ptolemy, our Duna vehicle, can come in. It can manoeuvre and dock with the Aristotle space station. One of the reasons I say it could probably carry more is by the time we finish this manoeuvre, we've still got a fair amount of fuel left in that second stage. But not to worry. Joining us for this journey are, of course, Kerdard Kerman in the command seat, and she is joined by Gwenby, and who else but Johnny Kerman. And as we push our apoapsis higher and higher up to my usual desired height of 85,000 metres, we get ready for engine shut off, and then I think it's time to step things down a notch and, as usual, switch over to some live commentary. Right, so let's get on with the business end of our last ever Brunel mission. Well, maybe not the last ever, but the last one in this series. So, to deploy our fairing, we can see our little multi-purpose fuel tank we're bringing up to the Ptolemy, our Duna vehicle. So let's get this underway, get that decoupled, bring ourselves away from it a bit. We want to open the shield, and we want to control from here. Let's turn off the RCS, get ourselves turned around, and whilst I'm at it, I'm going to extend these solar panels because well, let's get our last Brunel mission done properly. Line it up a bit further down. That looks good enough. So let's start bringing ourselves in for docking. Did I set that as our target? I had not set that as our target, so there we go. Just gently does it. You see we've got a variety of fuel tanks here. We've got this main one, which has got liquid fuel, mainly for the nuclear engines on board the Ptolemy. We've got this fuel oxidizer mix, which is for the lander in case we need to use the lander's engines to do some of the manoeuvring, and we've got the monopropellant, which is pretty self-explanatory, just for fine tuning. and bringing in the Ptolemy for docking. Are you going to be okay? Yeah, you are going to be fine. Turn off those for the moment. Decouple you. Pull our heavy fuel tank away from that that second stage there, and then we can get ourselves turned around and start to look to circularize our orbit. Well, it's not actually going to need a hell of a lot of circularizing. We've did a pretty good job of performing a reasonable gravity turn. Let's just get that locked into prograde, and we can ditch you, and we can activate the engine, and everything is looking good. Well, we are 4 minutes away. Let's just start time accelerating a bit, up to 10 times. So yeah, as I said, liquid fuel for the nuclear engines, fuel oxidizing mix for the landers engines, and some monopropellant. The reason I've got all three types is, well, ideally you'd want to use the monopropellant, sorry, the nuclear engines for everything, as they're just that much more efficient than everything else, and the monopropellant engines aren't very efficient at all. But yeah, it's a new thing with nuclear engines. I'm not sure if it's just one of the mods I have, or if it's also in the stock game, but nuclear engines have got a bit of a lag factor when you throttle them. So if I had them on full throttle and then cut the throttle entirely, they wouldn't just thrust wouldn't just stop immediately, as it does with the other engines. It would gradually decay. That will do. So we have ourselves a nice circular orbit, and now we want to see about visiting this little thing here. So there's our target. Ooh. We don't have as much separation as I thought we were going to do. We might not have time to do a sort of correct the plane difference in the orbital planes. We'll have to quickly have a look. There we go. Bring those two rendezvous nodes closer together. Oh, that's getting further away, so we want to... Yeah, we're not going to have time to do any kind of plane change, so we are going to have to just make do with what we've got there. We're on 9.6, 1.1, 0.6, 0.2, 0.4. That'll do. I think we'll be able to fine-tune it and get something pretty good. So we want to be pointing towards the maneuver node. 37-second burn, so 18-second either side of the maneuver node, I reckon. So yeah, as I was saying, we'll use the use nuclear engines to do most of the manoeuvring. If needs be, we can use the landers engines to do a little bit of fine-ish tuning, and then any ultra-fine tuning we can do with the RCS system. Although that will mainly be for docking. Get ourselves forward as a bit to about there. Get ready to start burning. There we go. And we can dock up with that, get that fuel, and we can take the Ptolemy to our science station. And we are going to have a shed load of science to spend. Certainly a couple of thousand. We've already got pretty much got a shed load of science from well, got a shed load of science waiting for us at the KSC because of all the transmission of science we did from our science station whilst the Duna Vehicle was away doing its thing. So we've got about 3,000 waiting for us, at least a couple of thousand, I reckon, on the Ptolemy itself. Where are we? Just going to fine-tune that, so we're going to stop burning there, go to our map view, and then just see how fine we can manoeuvre this here. To burn a bit harder than that. 4, 3, 2, 1... Fire up the RCS thrusters. 200 meters seems to be as close as we can get it. That's not too bad.
It's not too bad at all, especially given that we couldn't make a plane change. So let's get ourselves round there. Let's go up to 50 times and just watch as our two vehicles slowly converge. How long are we looking at? Oh, stop moving. Well, don't stop moving actually, but it's not convenient for trying to see the time to closest approach. About 4 minutes now. Get that a little bit closer. Where is our Duna vehicle? Over there. Talking of science, what I might actually do is take some of the science from all our Duna science and put it onto the research lab on the Ptolemy, just because that's running a little bit low. Just going to start burning here. Oh, I don't want to burn that way. I want to burn that way. That's not good. We'll be all right. We've got enough time to our we're supposed to burn at full throttle, so that should be fine. Start burning there. Maybe a little harder than that. There we go. Yeah, because whilst we're not going to use it on, not going to use that science that's aboard our science station during the rest of the series. You know, if I come back and pick the series up, it'll be very helpful to have that actually up there ready and waiting. Because, as I said, we might come back to this series, we might not, but if we do, it'll be nice if I've kind of left things as I want to find them, so that we can just sort of carry straight on from where we left off. So filling the science station up with science without having to muck about on launching a different mission would be very, very helpful. Yeah. And as I said, we've got more than enough science to unlock some new parts, do some new things. Well, we've got that already waiting down on the ground, but after we got all this science back, we are going to have, as I said, a lot. Not quite enough. Oh, I'm aiming ourselves the wrong way up. Point towards the target. Not enough to unlock the current tier of science we're on, because I think I've got 16 nodes left, and it's 550 per node, so we are looking at 8,800 to unlock that full thing, and I don't think we're going to quite have that, but as I said, more than enough to go off and do some more interesting things. Just wait for us to come in nice and close and then sort of start to kill our velocity. Start firing there. If we get too close to that with our engines firing, it's going to start to actually push on the Ptolemy. So we'll throttle down our engines a bit there. So yeah, once we get in nice and close, I think we'll just switch to a bit of post-commentary for the actual docking. For the usual reasons, long, boring, and uninteresting. And it's bad enough as I'm trying to sort of commentate the videos when I'm doing something else. When I'm really concentrating, it just goes to the pits. So yeah, I will get this docked, and I will see you again in a second. So, just a quick intermission whilst we bring this thing into dock with the Ptolemy. Yeah, quick note, having a massive weight out in front of you without any RCS thrusters on it makes manoeuvring a right royal pain in the arse. So we have to go at this gently, slowly and delicately, but we get there in the end. We get it docked safely and securely, and now I think it's about time I pass you back to past me. So, docked at last. That was a fiddly one. I wonder what our fuel situation is like generally. Yeah, we used up all the monopropellant making fine adjustments here. I think all that we've got left on the Ptolemy at the moment is 27.7. We can't see it anyway. I think that is pretty much just the tiny little thing we had in reserve here on the that command pod is all we had left of the monopropellant. So that's going to be pretty much a 1-to-1 fill. So we'll start with that. Start with the simple one. Yeah, and then we can move on from there. Of course, this is the first contact our crew of the Ptolemy have had with other Kerbals for quite some time. I mean, I could stick some of the Kerbals. Some of the Kerbals that are on the Ptolemy sort of onto the pod and take them back in there. I'm sure they'd be happy to be back down on Kerbin, but I think I'll stick to the plan. How much do we have in there? We'll see how much we can fill up you. That is going. Oh, I thought it was going quite slowly, but it's going faster than I thought it was. And then we can just stick the rest of what's left into, say, that tank. And that will be that. Yep, just a tiny little bit there. Empty, 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 and that is mission complete, which means we can undock you from there, switch to you. I think we'll just go straight down from here. Maybe not quite straight down. Where's the sun? Yeah, I think we'll basically just go straight down from here. But this isn't where the episode ends. We've got a few more things to do so that our final episode, the next episode, is set up as I want it. So, but I think we'll switch to post-commentary and close out the episode from there. After all that, I do wait to deorbit in the end, and the Ptolemy flies past us ridiculously quickly. Anyway, we get down just into the atmosphere, we ditch all the junk that we don't need, and we make our way onwards to re-entry proper. Just out a bit of scenery, we're coming in just south of the tip of Kerbin's great crater, which is nice, and just as we're up there admiring the view, we get low enough into the atmosphere that we can pop our parachutes and make our way gently down into Kerbin's oceans for splashdown. And now there's one more thing remaining before we finish here today. And that, of course, is to bring the Ptolemy into dock with the space station. We start by plotting our course before we bring this lumbering elephant of a craft around to point in the correct direction, and then we can fire up our engines to begin the series of rendezvous manoeuvres. We progress much as I thought we would do. We start by using the nuclear engines, then we progress to the lander engine just for a bit of fine manoeuvring, just to kill our relative velocity, and then it's on to the fine manoeuvring with the RCS thrusters. Now, as I said, this is a very, very heavy craft, and we have to progress very slowly, especially when we're coming in on the final approach to dock, but eventually we do get there. And our mission is one step closer to completion. All that remains to do now is to bring our Kerbals and their bounty of science home, which I'm sure they are very much looking forward to. But that will have to wait for another day, and I do hope you'll join me then for the final episode of the series. But until then, thanks for watching, take care, and I'll see you next time.